What's up, beautiful souls? Man, it's a joy to be here today. Going to go ahead and start this off by delving into the topic, the future of mental health, frequency, and psychedelics. Tesla and Einstein both said the future of medicine is frequency, and the future is now. Step into the eternal moment now. The party's blazing. It's a powwow. And so I'm excited to share with you guys some perspectives about how we can create a new global paradigm of mental health that actually treats the root cause of what's happening in the invisible world rather than band-aid symptoms, right? So we're going to jump into this today. But before we do, I want to set the frequency by the love of original eternal source consciousness field. We have come, setting a barrier now of the frequency of unconditional love on the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual plane around this podcast, all who are listening on all dimensions and all timelines. So we welcome in the frequency of unconditional love. We welcome all other beings now. We command all other beings to leave now. By the truth of original eternal source consciousness field, we stand. For the truth will set us free, and we are free indeed. We are free, we are free, we are free, and we envision and we see and we feel and intend our children growing up on free land with free systems, with freedom as their birthright, as was the original intention of Source. So we welcome in the frequency now of truth, for the truth will set us free. By the power of original eternal source consciousness field, we fly. Spread your wings, angel. Darkness, we survive. Now together, hand in hand, we thrive. It's time. Spread your wings, angel. It's time to fly. So we accept this invitation to step into our power, unapologetically, unconditioned, unprogrammed, a unique vibratory, oscillatory reflection of Almighty Living Creator Source is what we are. We are powerful, and we claim it now. By the grace of original eternal source consciousness field, I now sanctify and renew this podcast episode as under the divine protector of the Messiah Hana Master Councils of Aquarion, Holy or the Unified Sacred House of One, for the highest good, joy, and abundance for every single ear that is listening. He who has ears, let him hear the truth, so that we can be free and create and grow up in such a beautiful, amazing land as was the original intention of Source. And so I welcome in the frequency of grace, grace in every breath, grace in every cell. We are alive today because of grace. And thy kingdom, queendom come, thy will is now being done on earth in this podcast as it is in the highest heavens. Thais Intidoe, Thais Intidoe, Thais Intidoe. Spoken as it is stated now, and so it is done. Christ. All right, beautiful souls. So today I get to freestyle, and I'm happy about that because, I worked as a psychiatrist in the Western system for about 7 years, man. And I would sit there sitting across from all of the world's problems, blending electromagnetic fields with all of the world's problems. And the current Western system is, I was discovering what the system is. It's broken. It doesn't treat the root cause of what's really happening. So it bandages symptoms, and there's these models that have developed. Oh, it's the serotonin. That's what's causing the depression. That's what's causing the trauma. If we affect only the serotonin, through SSRIs, SNRIs, then, the body will come back into balance. But what I actually found over the course of 7 years using these medications, none of my patients were actually being cured. In fact, what I started noticing was there was a cycle that would happen. And perhaps you, a loved one, an uncle, a child, a parent, has gone through this cycle that I'm about to mention. You go to the psychiatrist in our system, they don't even have time. They're pressured to see about 10 to 20 people a day. They can't really truly listen to what's really happening at the root. So they hear a list of symptoms, and then they diagnose you or your loved one with a problem, with a disease. And so there's this psychiatrist Bible called the DSM-5, Diagnostic Statistic Manual. And every 5 or 10 years, a bunch of psychiatrists looking at biased research papers sponsored by Big Pharma, they look at these biased research papers. 20 say one thing, but one of them is saying the result that they wanted. They take that one and they sit around in a circle and they create this universal book that most of the globe, most of the world follows. And in this book, it continues to grow, the Psychiatrist Bible, more and more diseases, more and more disorders. And then you come into the office and then they say, oh, you have 5 out of 9 symptoms for 2 weeks. You have major depressive disorder. And as soon as somebody accepts that diagnosis, they have literally told themselves and coded for proteins that there's something wrong with them. And they're going to start speaking like it's my, I don't even like to say those words because words are powerful. You create your beliefs and you create your reality through the power of your words. In the beginning, God said, let there be light. Sound becomes light. Sound is a frequency that becomes light. God said, let there be light. And that is the language of our potential DNA. Scientists used to call junk DNA. So as soon as someone says, oh, they leave the office and they say, I have this condition, they have just accepted that they have a disease. And for the rest of their life in the mental health system, they're going to have that disease on their chart. And then what they're likely going to do is, so this Psychiatrist Bible, just to go back to that, it continues to expand more and more diseases, more and more problems. Probably by this time in society, there's probably not one person, if you really go through that book, who cannot be labeled into this. And the thing about it is psychiatrists have just been trained. Most of them are well-intentioned, but they don't have the time. And so they've been trained and brainwashed to believe that, okay, this person has this because of these symptoms. But underlying that, there's something real that's happening. And the current system is not addressing that. That's why I would see diagnosis, label, medication. The medication actually, for most of the time, instead of fixing the problem, it numbs the frontal lobe. So, what if in all actuality, it's not the person that was actually truly sick, but it's the society that has systems that are broken, and that there are actually these special children who have highly sensitive DNA called indigo children, who have their 4th, 5th, and 6th stranded DNA online, who are coming into humanity to serve humanity, but they can feel, they can hear, they can see a wider range of frequency because their 4th, 5th, and 6th stranded DNA is already online. And then their parents can't understand them. And then the system, when they come and say, hey, listen, I'm having these, they label them with a diagnosis and they put them on mind-numbing medications. The sad thing about this is that a lot of these children that I used to see rounding in psychiatric hospitals are actually here on service contracts to humanity. They have a gift with the invisible world. And so in our culture, in the Western system, which is the predominant system, we put them on mind-numbing medications that actually cause a chemical imbalance rather than fixing one. 70% of the time, it's actually the second energy center, the second chakra, the most powerful creative force on the planet. You can create a business with it. You can create a new earth with it. You can create, whatever it is, because energy is neither, created or destroyed. You can move that energy, right? And so it's shutting down these medications. 70% of the time are shutting down the most creative, powerful force in the world that can create a baby, right? And what happens when there's energy that is shut down or stuck in the body? The body actually, the energy can't flow through the meridians. The energy can't flow through the organs. The energy can't flow through the second chakra, and it becomes stagnant energy. And what happens to energy or water when it's not moving? Well, it gets stagnant, and there comes all these, microbes and diseases and things. And that's what Chinese medicine used to say. Stuck energy is the cause of dis-ease. And actually, and so I saw the cycle for 7 years working as a psychiatrist. More medications, it would numb the symptoms for a while. They think that they're better. They come back. It stopped working. The psychiatrist put them on another medication, 2 or 3 medications. more side effects. Eventually, they get to the point where they've totally forgotten who they are. They're just walking around numb like a zombie. And then eventually they end up in a psychiatric hospitalization. They're suppressing and repressing their anger and their emotions because that's what it's like almost like a chemical lobotomy, right? And that's what the psychiatrists used to do not too long ago. They used to literally take an ice pick and pick out the frontal lobe, the seat of judgment. And they used to tell people, oh, we fixed them because they were no longer acting out. And, I worked as a psychiatrist in a skilled nursing facility. Our entire elderly population, our parents, our ancestors, there's a system set up for them currently. And when they get old, all of their savings and whatnot, and they need skilled nursing care, they send them to these nursing facilities that I used to go to for about a year around the LA area. And these nursing facilities have really poor food, really poor water. There's no air circulation. Most of them, they're cramped in like sardines. The nurses are well-intentioned, beautiful people, most of them, but they're so busy. They don't even have time. And then what ends up happening is the elderly people will call out for help. I need help. They're literally screaming for help. And there's no way to actually spend the time and really communicate and understand what's really happening, right? And so they call the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrists get paid per person. So the psychiatrists out there are literally competing over your parents because it's easy money for them. They can literally round on each person without even spending time with them. Patient cannot communicate, blah, blah, blah. Boom, submit it to insurance, they get paid, right? And so when they call the psychiatrist just says, give them more meds, right? So they're putting them on more mind-numbing, chemically imbalancing, causing medications. And when I used to round, they were slobbering out the mouth. They couldn't communicate. And this is one perspective of the current end of life care right now in our society. And so more meds, numbness, side effects, more meds, and these parents would come. And these parents, you know, man, yeah, it's real. Like what they're going through. For them, it's real. In these families, because, their child is stuck in a system and symptoms with no solution, and they're trying everything they can. They're using their life savings. And I used to sit there for 6 or 7 years just saying, what can I do? What can I really do? I remember that one time, over the course of 7 years, and what I would do is I would use my words. I would give them hope. I would give them courage. And at the same time, I was going through it. I was going through every single psychiatric problem personally. I would speak from my heart, yo, this is what's helping me. And by the time they left my office, the best thing I can offer them was a changed attitude to give them hope that there is hope, and I would use medications very minimally. But, as I was going through that, there came a certain point where I started because I had to heal myself because I was going through all of these things. I started realizing there are things out there that really treat the root cause. There's metaphysics, what we don't see, frequency, which is the cause. The effect, what we see, is physics. So imagine right now, right? The current whole system is set up to be just treating physics, what we see, 3D, right? And so that's symptom management. That's all it is symptom management, right? And you're never going to fix the root cause. Therefore, you're going to cycle in and out of hospitalizations, in and out of medications, right? Because you're not treating the root cause. And yeah, sitting there talking about it for 10 years, talking about your problems, where energy goes, attention flows, and it grows. It's actually, in a weird way, increasing the problem. Most of these therapeutic talk therapy, although it does help on a certain extent to be able to talk about it. And so metaphysics is frequency. Tesla and Einstein said the future of medicine is frequency, and the future is frequency, and the future is now. So we have solutions existing right now. And I started realizing this because sound, light, and symbols is the language. And so, for example, right now, when I say I am healthy, healed, whole, and complete, the word becomes flesh. The word becomes proteins. the words, invisible words, frequency, sound that I just spoke. It resonates and oscillates literally into my body. Now, if you haven't read Hidden Messages of Water by Dr. Emoto, read that, Emoto. The words I just spoke, he proved that sound goes into the water. I'm 90 something percent water weight. And literally, my body absorbs the water in my body, absorbs the words I just spoke, literally. And the sound crystallizes the water in my body, literally crystallizes the water in my body. And when you look at the water frozen in a microscope, these amazing, beautiful, sacred, geometrical, mathematical patterns start appearing under the microscope. When you say the word love, when you say the word gratitude, okay? Now imagine what your water, your body is turning into when you say, I have depression, I have anxiety, I am bipolar, I have Alzheimer's. See, right now, our society is entrapped by language. Your words create your reality. And so this system is set up to tell people that they have a disease, that it's never going to get better, and they have to be on this medication forever. And they start speaking like that, believing that, putting themselves in a box, numbing their frontal lobe, shutting down their second chakra. And for a while, they can survive in a sick society, but they're never going to thrive. Right? And so, and I'm not here to condemn all medications, because there were certain times, it's all about quality of life. Your body can adjust, your body is intelligent. And there was a time in my life where I did take meds and it did help me. It numbed me down enough to get through certain parts of my life that were really dark. And so I'm not condemning it. There's a time and a place for that too. But when I speak those words, I am love, I am joy, I am peace, I am health, I am creative, I am powerful, I am, these words are literally oscillating into my cells, crystallizing the water in my body, and I am water. And then these frequencies, if you want to call it, flow through the intron potential DNA that scientists used to call junk, right? And like a piano, it lights up and you can't see it, but it's there, an intron potential DNA. And literally the double-stranded helix takes instructions from the words I just spoke, and it starts coding through epigenetics proteins, which are the building blocks of life, according to the words I just spoke. So therefore, the word becomes flesh. The word becomes proteins. And frequency, sound, light, symbols, scalar waves are the language of the medicine of the future. If you want to heal anything, go to where it first started. In the beginning, God said, sound, let there be light, light. And make no mistake about it, there's also different types of light. There's holographic inserts. Is that really that person that they say it is? So light can bend and refract and lie. But there's also Shalea living light. So there's different types of light. Okay. And I know a lot of people are doing red light therapy. I know a lot of people are these are just starting to come out. Like, it can decrease inflammation. If you decrease inflammation, right? The cause of every disease is inflammation. Okay. So sound and light and frequency. And so right now there's a lot of beautiful technology coming forth in the scalar wave world, right? And so, there's one called the Rasha frequency machine, created by Dr. Jerry Eugenio Rivera. Shout out, right? It's a base 12 eternal life scalar wave machine, and they're having great success, sometimes even reversing autism. I am privy to, connections to certain people that I'm not going to name publicly that are using water, high frequency water, chemotherapy mimicking herbs, and scalar wave machines, stage 4, metastasized cancer, right? You go to a Western doc, you're dead, reversed. And these are not just like, for me, my process is, because I know there's a lot of quacks out there too. There's a lot of people promoting things that actually aren't working. But when you find the real ones, right, you have to learn how to trust sound, listen to the energy behind that person's sound, because light can bend and refract, but sound cannot lie. Just like blood type cannot lie, sound cannot lie. When you really learn how to listen with your DNA, not to agree, not to disagree, but to see if it resonates. And if it resonates, follow that. And so the future of medicine is frequency. There's a portable, affordable scalar wave machine these days called Healy, Healy, right? So Tesla said, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of vibration, energy, and frequency. And so the future is now, right? So there's all of these scalar wave machines. If you don't know, I would highly suggest that you start researching, especially if you have someone in your family that's going through something, right? Because the sound and the light can communicate with our own potential intron DNA, scientists used to call junk, through the magnetic vector of the scalar wave, and start activating our own body's healing potential. If you give your body the right environment, it will heal itself, as is being evidenced by Dr. Alan Goldhammer through water-only fasting. Literally, you just give it water, and especially if you can give it high-frequency water, right? And so you can literally infuse your water with frequency through your hands, through words, through music, through the sunlight, and then drink the water, because if you heal the water will heal us. And, yes, I said it, like through cancer, people are having success reversing cancer, reversing autism. So there's not one disease out there that is not reversible, right? But when you think about the cause of the disease, it's coming from thoughts. Less than 1% of disease is congenital, which means less than 1% of disease you're born with. Means like over 99% of diseases are actually an accumulation of your environmental influences. And, I'm not just saying your environment, immediate environment, I'm saying your thoughts. Thoughts become things. Thoughts become cancer. Words, attitude, frequency, emotions. What you do not see is the cause. Metaphysics. What you see is physics. And for the longest time, our mental health system has been set up and our scientific system has been set up with scientists, research papers that are only focusing on what they can see. It's a 3D model, therefore nobody's actually getting better. It's a sick care model. It's a bandaging symptoms model, and nobody's actually getting to the root cause, which is the world of the invisible world. And so that's why the future of medicine is frequency. And so right now at your local studio, there'll be sound baths, crystal baths. There'll be all kinds of different things, solfeggio frequencies, binaural beats, and you can go online and you can get these resources for free most of the time. There's, like I said, the Healy frequency machine, the Rasha frequency machine, and there are more and more that are coming out, the universal orb frequency machine. And so, and this message really goes out to those family members that I was seeing for about 7 years, who were like literally mothers were coming in desperate. Like, is there anything out there that can really help my child? And there is what I'm trying to tell you, is a message of hope. We're in that day and age where anybody, if they want to really seek and have an intention to really find the root cause, and they're willing to dig into that, they're willing to get a little uncomfortable, they're willing to deprogram everything they've been taught with an open mind and heart and search for the truth, they're gonna find the truth. There's machines out there. For example, mantras, the power of sound. Okay. Back in the day, you used to have to, wait outside of a guru's temple for like months and months and be a disciple to be able to get one mantra, because they believed that that one mantra was going to be able to help them liberate their soul. These days, you can go online, take one course, and get 16 of them in one day. And do these mantras work? Yes, they do work. And so there are treatments out there right now that treat the root cause in the world of the metaphysics, working with sound, light, and frequency. And which leads me to the next part of this podcast. which is the one disease model. Okay. So according to quantum morphogenetic physics, the science of bioregenesis, also referred to as Kalantic science, originally transcribed through by Ashiana Dean, the fourth, fifth, and sixth stranded DNA, okay, is your soul, our carbon, crystalline, less dense version of you existing right now. Okay. Your seventh, eighth, ninth stranded DNA is a pure crystalline silica matrix, even less dense. And your 10th, 11th, 12th stranded DNA is your avatar inner Christos, okay? A pure liquid light version. And every spirit, if you want to say, when they incarnate, they come down through this way. So you have a soul, okay? But for the longest time, humanity has been in a frequency fence. Through DNA distortions, they've literally cut off starting at D3, dimension 3. So you have your physical, emotional, mental. They've kept it in the mental plane. But the one disease model that a lot of indigenous cultures already understood, there's not greater than 300 diseases. If you look at the DSM-5, 300 diseases. No, there's only one. And that is a disconnection from one's own higher self, which is sometimes referred to, the fourth, fifth, and sixth strand of DNA, as the super conscious mind. So there's been this cut, and therefore it's been a sick model. But right now, what we're saying is we're opening up now into the psyche, the soul. And that's what that word, the root word psyche, that's what it actually means, the soul. Isn't it ironic that the one profession, psychiatry, soul, was originally created to be a study of the soul, but in all actuality, modern day psychiatry has literally cut off D3 to D4, 5, 6, literally cut off and based the entire system on a model that is cut off from the soul. And what happens when you're cut off from the soul? We see a mental health epidemic happening right now. Nobody's treating the root cause. Post-COVID, the numbers are way up. 1 out of 4 have depression. 1 out of 4 have anxiety. And it's happening in our younger crowd. 18 to 34 is the greatest rising number. And this is becoming, if you want to call it, and also the results of the greatest human tragedy or on earth ever. We're still going to be recovering for that for many, many, many years. The subtle fear that our children witnessed, the subtle fear of, having, that we're not being able to talk, of being 6 feet apart, too far to touch hearts. The energy is real. And so this subtle fear, when our children's subconscious minds were wide open, right? This impact is going to be generational and is yet to be seen. But already 3 years later, we're seeing an incredible rise in mental health conditions. And the answer lies with reconnection to the superconscious mind, reconnection to the soul, because from there, when psychiatry becomes a true study of the soul and starts putting out a model, a system that is based on connection with your superconscious mind, we're going to start getting cures. And why is that? Because you want to find a good doctor, go to a doctor who changes your thoughts, attitudes, words, and beliefs. When you walk out of that office, you have a new attitude. I can get better. There is hope. There are treatments out there that work. I am limitless. I believe in myself, right? Because it's these thoughts, words, and attitudes, frequency, which the mind then takes this frequency, the mind administers that frequency, which becomes emotions. And these emotions are literally becoming the physical body, which are becoming the building blocks of life, which is projecting your hologram. Your DNA is projecting your hologram and creating your reality. And so we're living in this time where not only, we're waking up, we're starting to realize that there are treatments out there that work. And so we're going through what is called a psychedelic kind of renaissance, a revolution right now. And I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. There's a lot of people doing psychedelics. And for the most part, I think a lot of people are having breakthroughs and positive, but I wanted to also shed perspective, because they're in the 70s, 60s, 70s hippie movement, there was psychedelics too. All about love, 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 people running around with their shoes off and flower power, things like that. Cool. And my intention, my hope is that this psychedelic revolution is going to be a little bit more ceremonial, a little bit more intentional, a little bit more leading to peace on earth and new systems, and where our children can grow up with fresh water, with living water, with regenerative systems, with conscious community, right? And so that's what I feel like this revolution has the potential to do, because psychedelics, psyche, once again, connecting you to the soul frequencies, to your upper stranded DNA. And once you know, you cannot not know. Once you have a powerful experience, people call going meta, or merging with the logos, or becoming one with everything, right? Imagine. And not only do you have that experience, you pave those neural pathways and you do it at a high emotional frequency, then your cells get the message. And once you know, you cannot not know. And this is why Jesus said, what you have done unto the least of them, you have done unto me. He understood, and he's had these experiences, and there's never been an easier time in humanity's history for each one of us to have that experience, because once you go to the higher frequencies, the upper stranded DNA, the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension, which is a bandwidth of frequency existing right now, you reach a certain point where there's no time, and where separation is an illusion, where fear, a perfect love that casts out all fear, there's no false evidence appearing real, where you merge and you become one with everything. For example, when I was on my ayahuasca ceremony, my first time in Topanga, and I was breathing with the tree, boom, 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 neon green lights, energetic lights connecting me to the tree, to the plants, to the stars, all connected, all one. Separation is an illusion. And once you have that experience, there's a process of integration that occurs with your higher self. Your soul is literally sending you frequencies, and you're starting to embody your soul. The right thoughts come, the right attitudes come, the right words come. There goes depression, because you have purpose. Your fourth, I'm telling you right now, the fourth, fifth, and sixth strand of DNA holds you have a reason for incarnating. There is no accidents. There's a reason why you chose to come to Earth. Once you have your purpose, you want to be here. When you want to be here, you're present. There goes anxiety, because anxiety is in the past or the future, right? And so you're present and you have purpose, and you understand we are all one. And the end path of all spiritual paths is service. Doesn't matter if you're Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, whatever. If you really follow that pure line all the way back, it's going to be what you have done unto the least of them, you have done unto me. Go and make disciples of all nations. What does it really mean? Like, be you, number one, but number two, when you help other people, you're helping yourself. So you'll see even successful people, they get to the top of the mountain and they realize at the top of the mountain, all it is, okay, I got to share my wisdom. I got to share my wealth. I got to help other people be free. And right now we're living in this amazing time where there's the tools, the frequency tools, the psychedelics ceremony. Oregon just made psilocybin ceremonies legal, right? So you can get licensed there to do these things legally. MDMA. I mean, I'm telling you guys, the study results. Shout out to Rick Doblin and MAPS. They just are in stage 3, and hope. The word is directly from Rick that next year, by next year, MDMA approved psychotherapy is going to be legal. Okay, and people are having breakthroughs, and we're talking about with trauma. The numbers are incredible, promising, and you should check out Andrew Huberman's podcast, Huberman Lab, and he does an episode on MDMA. He does an episode on psilocybin, and he goes into the history of it, and he spells it all out for you, literally all right there. And he goes into the science and the numbers behind it. So he's bringing it in the language of modern day science. So it's this really exciting time. And but I really want to emphasize, for me personally, what I found in my journey, all the different plants have been helpful, is setting, and intention. So if you're doing, for example, magic mushrooms, and you're at a party and there's energy flying around and there's a lot of different people, you don't know who they are, and it opens a portal to the invisible world, literally. Well, there's going to be a lot of energy, and especially if you're sensitive like me, you're going to feel all everybody's else energy. And I'm telling you guys, in the invisible world, if people only could see what's happening in the invisible world when you open that portal, okay, you just want to be mindful. Where am I? Who am I with? What's the energy like? But most importantly, what is my intention? And so that experience, taking the same medicine in a party setting with all different types of energies floating around, is going to be different than if you take that ceremony at home. You prepare the space, you've invoked the energies that you want, you've set your intention, you have a facilitator there watching over you. It's going to be a different experience, and you have music pre-selected that you really vibe to, right? So your intentions are a magnetic frequency that exists between matter. So once you open up that portal, your intention, your higher self, like a magnet, can send in the information, the activation that is in alignment with your intention. And I also want to mention here, facilitator, who's holding space for you, who's your quote unquote shaman, is very important if you decide to go that way, especially right now. People are people. So, you know, when people go to the Amazon and they're not, and they just, get connected to a random shaman, well, you want to be sure when those invisible portals are open, they literally have access to the invisible world. That's what a shaman is. They've learned how to navigate the invisible world. And if they're not pure, and if they have a bit of, how can I say, a desire and greed for power, all kinds of things can happen. They could, and I don't want to go too deep into it, but that's why you'll see every once in a while people coming back. They have an attached entity. They're fighting for their life. They're actually went through a really dark experience. And so it's very important as the psychedelic revolution and renaissance happens. Yes, the potential is tremendous. I mean, to really reconnect with your soul, to go to the root cause, to relive that childhood memory where the trauma came from, which is causing the addiction. All of this is possible. 10 years worth of therapy in literally like 2-3 days. It's possible, but you want to make sure you have the right setting, intention, and facilitator. And remember, these plants are conscious. All consciousness is intelligent, which means all energy is conscious. Conscious means that you can communicate with it. If you abuse a plant over and over and over and over again, the plants are actually neutral. They're going to abuse you right back. They're going to send you the energy you're sending it. Okay? The plants are intelligent. But just like a human being, if you approach a plant with respect, humility, a sincere desire to learn, it's going to teach you. And these plants, a lot of them have been along a long time. And they have a connection with nature. They understand that we are all one. For example, magic mushrooms, they live underneath the earth, right? They have a part of them underneath the earth, and they're all communicating like an underground mycelial internet network. When one tree, that's how the trees communicate. So there's this incredible intelligence, and as below, so above. That underground network is like your brain, the neural pathways in your brain. And so some of these mushrooms can, help our brain start communicating. It can increase neuroplasticity. It can reset serotonin in a very healthy way. And so I want to just kind of look at, okay, here's a problem here. Take this, medication, SSRI. It's going to increase your serotonin. They're not even sure it does that. But guess what? Everything's connected to each other. And that's what these medications don't understand. If you increase the serotonin, it's going to throw off your dopamine. It's connected to the dopamine. It's connected to this part of your brain. It's connected, and so the connection is going to actually eventually start causing a chemical imbalance, usually. But these, if you want to say intelligence of nature, it's already all connected. It has that information within it. And it can help you to start rebalancing in an intelligent, balanced, healthy way your serotonin, your dopamine, which affects your sleep, which affects your mood. It can also, it's very intelligent, take you into different, causes of addiction. There's tremendous potential with addiction and trauma and all of these different things, right? So tremendous potential there, but I wanted to shed a little bit of light on setting, intention, and facilitator. Now, another point that I want to make with what facilitator, not only is your facilitator protecting you in the invisible world, that's important. You want to set your parameters. That's why we prayed in the beginning of this podcast. We literally set our boundaries through our words, our frequency, right? So, not only that, but they're protecting you. And number two is activations. What you have, you can share, right? So if your facilitator, is a highly activated, coded being, if there's an agreement between your higher self and their higher self, always free will choice. There can be, I'm talking about Sam, my DNA is being activated. My DNA is being activated. You literally. And what does that even mean? When you activate your upper strand of DNA, you're starting to embody and have access to your higher sensory perceptions, a higher level of perception, you know, access to information beyond space or time, a level of purpose that, is deeper than perhaps the one you have right now. So all of these things are possible when the invisible world is open, but and psychedelics can be a good tool. But just want to really emphasize your setting intention, be very intentional about it, and work with someone that you really trust, that you really believe can hold the space, and that you really believe can put you on your highest evolutionary potential. Okay. So, I'm just going to kind of go through some of the medicines that have helped me. Obviously for me, breath work is number one. And I always say this: the mind will follow the breath, or the breath will follow the mind. Okay. And so if you learn how to breathe, the mind will follow. So if you learn how to breathe and the mind is following the breath, then you can have access to your superconscious mind. And the 3D mind, it just becomes, if you want to say, a conduit, a servant of the soul, servant of the superconscious mind, right? And at that point, the universe is mental, right? So if you master your breath, you'll master your mind. If you master your mind, you'll master the universe, your hologram, because the universe is mental, right? And so, number one, learn how to breathe, do yoga, download Insight Timer on your phone, spend 15 minutes every morning, start there doing early morning sun gazing, doing these basics, go back to the basics. These things are really important. Drink fresh, eternal living spring water, infuse it, give gratitude for your water before you, all of these things, right? Your food, whatever your diet is, find the one that feels right for your body, that causes decreased inflammation. Right now in my stage of life, I'm going for whole food, plant-based, with a minimum salt, oil, and sugar, right? Because I just finished the fast at True North Healing Center, and it's got my body feeling amazing. And so this is possible. In fact, that's your birthright, is to feel clear, is to feel amazing, is to feel free, is to be you. And there's never been a better time in humanity's history where there's tools that are coming out that you can utilize to reconnect you to your psyche, to your soul. From there, all things flow, and I let go and I flow, for I know my soul already knows. It has access to information beyond space or time. If you learn how to flow with your soul, your fourth, fifth, and sixth stranded DNA, your super conscious mind, your intuition, your sixth sense, you can never go wrong in life. Okay. And so, you know, and a lot of these tools, you got to unlearn, right? Because even marijuana, a lot of people, whatever you've been taught about that, there's a guy named Ryan Sprague, and he's teaching people how to use cannabis consciously. It's an amazing tool. We already know that it has healing properties, CBD, right? All these different things. But this plant is here. It's intelligent. It just wants to help people. But remember, it's neutral. It will give to you the energy. And when you find fresh, grown, in the sunshine, infused, and you work with it consciously, it can be a great teacher. I don't really work with it anymore, but it was a part of it. It's literally helped me save my life, transition off of alcohol and onto cannabis. And it's a gateway to consciousness if you use it that way. So there's tremendous potential there. Check out Ryan Sprague. I think he's doing amazing work teaching people how to use it intentionally, moderately, in a good setting. And I think, and then also finding the quality, right? Ayahuasca, right? Amazing. It can be an amazing tool if you find the right setting, intention, facilitator, right? It's intelligent, and so amazing things happening for certain people who are working with this plant. It was a huge part of my awakening. And if you don't know that you're multidimensional, right? Yeah, but it's, like I said, setting, intention, facilitator, and the plants are intelligent, right? They can communicate with you. You'll know if you're meant to do it. I don't say everybody go do it. No, it's not for everybody, right? Ibogaine, a West African shrub. Okay. Um, I experienced it. At the time I was experiencing it, I was doing a lot of, I was so gung ho about spirituality that I was exploring all these different types of spiritualities. And I really wanted to activate my potential and my gifts so that I could serve humanity. So I was doing a lot of different things, and some of it, when you delve into certain areas of spirituality, not all of it is for me personally. Matter my perspective is pure from a pure intention. So I was doing all these powerful practices, experimenting, and I had activated a part of me where I could literally go into a room and literally like mind control people, and I did not like that. In fact, for me, it was like torture. It was torturous because I knew that wasn't right. And so I was like at a point where my psychic powers were online, but I was like miserable and, almost in a state of torture. And so when I went to go do Ibogaine in Costa Rica, you literally, it reset my entire software, my brain. It cleaned out my brain. It stripped away my psychic power, thank God. But it also reset my mind, literally, and tremendous potential with Ibogaine for addiction, right? We're talking about our heroin addicts, and there's safe ways to taper off the heroin, taper off the opioids, and to literally do Ibogaine. I've met people, 1 to 2 sittings of Ibogaine. They tried everything to get sober. With Ibogaine for opioid addiction, tremendous potential. And there's a beautiful center down in Mexico that I can vouch for. But you got to find the right place that they're doing it right, right? And so tremendous potential with addiction, period, right? So it literally it can help reset the dopamine receptors, and the science is about to start coming out, right? But tremendous potential, right? And so literally I had 3 months of complete peace. My mind was quiet after my Ibogaine experience. And no, it's a rough experience physically. But afterwards, I'm really happy to know that it's there. So there's all of these tools out there existing right now. And these plants are letting themselves be known. They're conscious, right? They're letting themselves be known because they want to help, because they're a part of Mother Earth. And right now, Mother Earth is going through a very, very important inflection point in its history. There's been 3 seedings, 3 memory wipes, and right now, there's a return cycle to source. And from my awareness, this is the last seeding where people are going to have to decide, right? So Mother Earth, and in order for Mother Earth to survive and thrive, her water, her bones, her lava, her mountains, her oceans, right? We're going to have to wake up and reconnect with our psyche to the realization that on some level we are all connected, and we start treating Mother Earth and each other as if we were all connected, as if we're all one. What you have done unto the least of them, you have done unto me. And together we start communicating and collaborating. But in order for this to happen, people need to wake up. We need to reach a tipping point where people understand and have the cellular memory and knowing that they have purpose. They're here for a reason. They're here to serve, and that they are uniquely created, and that literally they can start healing. The tools to heal their mental health condition is already available and here through the power of psychedelics, through the power of frequency, through the power of your own attitudes, words, thoughts, and beliefs. You have the power to heal. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And so the technology is already here. And so I've had about 7 years ago, after I quit my psychiatry journey, I started praying a prayer. My mom asked me, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to go to the beach, quiet my mind through my breath, and I'm going to ask my intuition, what do you want to do?" And I'm going to do that. She said, "What are you going to do after that?" "I'm going to quiet my mind through my breath. I'm going to tune into my sixth sense, my intuition. And I'm going to do that." And so that's what I've been doing for the last 7 years. And, I quit my job and I went to the beach and I started pumping Kundalini energy, which is dimensions 1 through 9. Dimension 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, a dimensional, if you want to say, that comes with your atoms when you're born, and it's at the bottom of your spine. Some people call it the Kundalini energy, right? And when you raise that intentionally and you start tickling your third eye with it, you can start experiencing, your multi-dimensional self, dimensions 1 through 9. And so at the time I started pumping my Kundalini, and this prayer started just praying out of me for the liberation of all sentient beings. Right? And remember, these words are becoming part of my auric field, my body. And so it's attracting it to me. And I was doing it for like 2 hours every day. And a new global paradigm of mental health that actually treats the root cause. Show me what I need to see. Tell me what I need to do. And I would do this every single morning. And one thing would lead to another. Oh, hey, I would get a phone call. I don't know where they got my number. You want to be medical director at this clinic taking people off medications. And another thing would lead to another. And eventually, through continuing this prayer and just learning how to tune into my intuition, I was given a sacred contract, which is to facilitate a medicine called the Heart Protocol. And my contract is to keep what is sacred, but what we're finding, I've been facilitating this for the last 3 or 4 years. For me personally, is when you quiet the mind, there's a combination of 4 synergistic plant-based but Western medicines that you can utilize to quiet the mind, open the heart. And the kingdom of heaven is within your heart. So dimensions 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the Father's house of many mansions, starts oscillating from your heart, bursting serotonin and dopamine in the body. And the epigenetic ego, or the ego epigenetic overlay, which scientists used to, you quiet that down through a glutamate receptor antagonist. And the mind is quiet, the heart is open, the ego quiets down, the rear default mode network, and you have this connection to your 4th, 5th, and 6th strand of DNA and above. And for most people, it's the safest they've ever felt in their life. And safety is a prerequisite for healing. So in that safety, because their heart is wide open and they're in a multidimensional space, and then you start oscillating into a place where there's no space or time. And then you connect not to a guru, you connect not to a plant, you connect not, but directly to your higher self. Right? And from there, the right thoughts, words, attitudes, beliefs, visions, right, start coming in. I've had a 77-year-old grandfather, been going to church his whole life. For the first time in his life, he actually had a visceral feeling, oh my God, I feel God's love. And he felt it in all of his cells. And once you know, you cannot know. I mean, I've had people go to merge. Their entire life desire was to know if the logos is true. And they merge with that part of it. And they know. It's a cellular knowing. Once you know, you cannot not know. And I've had people, like, when it comes to trauma, you go back to literally your cells, the body keeps the score. You literally go back to a past life. You're literally there. There's no space or time. And you start speaking in a foreign language where your people were murdered, and you still carry that trauma with you. And that's why in this life, you're afraid to move forward, because, if you move forward, that might happen again, because you have that memory. And so you speak in this foreign language. The sound is healing. The tears are healing. Everything is healing for 4 to 6 hours. And then I get a text, yo, my fear to move forward in this life is gone. So when we say healing a lifetime of trauma, potentially in 4 to 6 hours, it's possible. But most importantly, once the healing is done, once the higher self, the 4th, 5th, and 6th strand DNA, sends in that higher oscillation frequency, you see, karma and trauma is low frequency, existing in the body as polarized frequency. Higher oscillation, when you connect with your soul for 4 to 6 hours, it's literally, Jesus called it the new wine, is coming into the body, and it's literally entraining the karma, and it's entraining the trauma. And higher oscillation sometimes spontaneously releases that, and sometimes you don't even have to know. Cleansing the vessel, embodying your soul, activating your 4th, 5th, and 6th stranded DNA and above, reconnecting with your psyche. And that's where the word psychiatry came from. And so that's why I envision a new global paradigm of mental health that is based on the one disease model, a direct connection. Let's go to the root cause. Let's go to the metaphysics. Let's reconnect you to your higher self. In fact, in old African tribes, a long time ago, right? When they were in the womb, they would literally the sound, they would sing a soul song to the baby. So the umbilical cord, their cells, as their cells were forming, they were absorbing the sound as their soul was coming online, their physical body was coming online, and they would have this cellular memory. You forget Alzheimer's patients, they forget everything, but you'll never forget music. You play an Alzheimer's patient music, they'll start dancing. It's from their youth. They have cellular memory. And so in a tribe, when a child, let's say, is born to the tribe, and they're going through, if you want to say, depression, they're going through suicidal ideation, they're going through severe anxiety, they're going through psychosis, they don't what they don't put them on like mind-numbing medications and like no. The tribe circles around them and they sing them their song, their soul song. They reconnect them to their soul. There's only one disease, a disconnection from one's own higher self. And through that song, the sound of the tribe pervades into their cells, and they start remembering who they are. I am eternal. Oh, the soul never dies. Death is a transition state in consciousness. Oh, I am love. I am joy. I am peace. I am powerful. I deserve everything I desire. I am worthy. And this song, as they connect with their soul, they start remembering who they are and they come back online. There goes the depression. There goes the anxiety. There goes the trauma, because they have purpose and they want to be here and they're supported by a tribe. And that's the power of sound. That's the power of frequency. That's the power. It can clean out trauma. It can remind us who we are. It can put us on our highest evolutionary timeline, right? So psychiatry, I envision and feel and see. And you talk about addiction. Not only is there ibogaine for addiction to reset people, there's other, some people come out of the heart protocol, the ceremonies I facilitate, and literally they just connected to their soul and they had an amazing, beautiful, loving experience. The next day, without even trying, they quit caffeine, tobacco, and nicotine all at once. They weren't even trying. So what is that doing to the dopamine receptors in the brain? It's resetting parts of the brain back to the original psyche, the soul, the higher self. And when that happens, spontaneous healing happens. It's a natural result of increasing your consciousness, awareness, right? And right now, humanity is going through an important inflection point in its history. And it's more and more important for each one of us to take a look inside. Go within, but go within where? Into your intron potential DNA. Scientists used to call junk DNA. It's not junk, it's potential. So what excites me even more, yes, it's a time of healing. Yes, it's a time to introduce your family members. Yes, it's a time, more importantly, for you to go within. And as you activate your higher sensory perception, your higher self, you're going to start increasing your frequency. And as you start increasing your frequency, the radiation of your auric field, your family members are going. You don't even have to. You don't preach the gospel, the good news. Yes, the good news is you are who you've been looking for. But if necessary, use words. You don't even have to say anything, because they're going to say to you, "Man, what you smoking these days? What are you on these days? What are you eating these days?" Right? And you just tell them, "Man, yo, this is what I'm up to. Yeah, this is what's helping me." Right? And so every disease, greater than 99%, reversible. And we're living in an amazing, beautiful inflection point, right? Where the technologies are coming forward, the mantras are there, the technology is there. If you really look for the right setting, intention, and facilitator, the catalyst of a psychedelic experience can be there. But make no mistake about it, psychedelics are not the final answer. Nobody's going to attain final enlightenment through psychedelics. It can help you remember who you are, but then the key of all of that is integration. Okay, you saw things, you felt things. How am I going to embody my soul, make it real and grounded in, turn knowledge into wisdom, apply the knowledge into my life? In fact, I don't even recommend doing psychedelics often. I only recommend it when it calls you as a tool, because frequency is real. And so one thing I want to bring into awareness is the potential, which Dr. Jerry Duhenio Rivera calls molecular compaction, right? So, I don't tend to do psychedelics often unless it's a calling, right? Because if you start activating your upper stranded DNA, connecting with your higher self too often, right, through psychedelics, well, first of all, you can get ungrounded. Second is like, if you start activating your upper stranded DNA and your lower stranded DNA is not activated yet, right? You haven't embodied your 3D yet. Your physical is not ready to hold that. It can literally, higher frequency can crush lower frequency, right? It literally, and cause what is called molecular compaction, making your potential for ascension or ascension impossible, because the way you ascend is through your DNA, through the ladder of your DNA. So I would always say, like, it's a calling. These plants can communicate with you. They're intelligent, they're conscious. So listen, learn how to listen. But most importantly, I would say the most important thing is to make an intention. Intention is a magnetic frequency that exists between matter. Your higher self respects your free will choice. It responds to intention, right? It's not going to like send you all these things to wake up if you don't have that intention, right? And there is a perfect timing to all of it, but you can actually say, intent, send me the tools, the technologies, the teachers, the books that I need right now to literally, I want to know the truth. I want to know the truth. Because the end game of all of this is the truth will set you free. The truth will set you free. But there's a lot of people out there right now who are too comfortable. All they want is to be comfortable. 72 degrees, 9 to 5, save for retirement, pension plan. Cool. Right? But it's on the edges, in the cold plunge, in the sauna, that we detoxify. It's on the edges where we grow. So, literally it's an analogy because humanity has been trapped, a majority of humanity, into D1, 2, 3, literally in a frequency fence, like a fish in a bowl. A fish staring at a bowl for dark ages, 26,000 year cycle, and they're looking out saying, I wonder what's out there in the world. But hey, I'm just going to stay in this bowl because I know what's in this bowl. It's safe. I get fed. I'm in this glass jar. Right? But for those who have the courage and the bravery and who want to know the truth, because the truth will set you free, you start asking the questions like, I want to know the truth. Send me the information. I'm open-minded. I'm willing, because the truth will set you free. And that's the goal, because all the soul wants is to be free, and we are free indeed. And so you take that leap. You set the intention. I'm going to leap out of this fish jar. I'm going to learn how to walk on my own 2 feet. I'm going to learn how to listen. I'm going to learn how to push my edges. I'm going to do some hard shit that challenges me and causes me to grow. I'm going to read that book. Yeah, I'm going to have my first psychedelic experience. Or maybe not. It's not for everybody. Or, I'm going to start listening to this podcast, or I'm going to start my own podcast, right? I want to know the truth, for the truth will set you free. And so this is a great, amazing inflection point in humanity's history. I mean, there are spirits and souls lined up, ancient souls who've never been born on earth before, lined up right now, trying to come into earth, because we're about to, and the movie hasn't even hit its climax yet, right? We're preparing for what Jesus talked about, New Jerusalem, what Bob Marley's saying about Zion, what the Native American chiefs saw in their visions. They connected with their higher self. They went to a place beyond space or time. There's no time, only consciousness moving through different densities. And they foresaw and foretold, and they were all talking about the time that is now here and that is now coming. We are the ones we have been looking for. The prophecies are being fulfilled and created at the same time. We're on a brand new timeline, a whole new world, a new earth, decentralized systems, decentralized platforms, decentralized healthcare, power back to the people and freedom back to the people. And now all we need is for those who love peace to start communicating, collaborating, organizing better than those who love war. The technology is already here. All we got to do is collaborate, communicate, and you take a look inside, and you will find you are who you've been looking for the whole damn time. Thank you for joining me on another episode. Love, light, peace, and truth to all sentient beings. A new global paradigm of mental health, frequency, and psychedelics. Let's go.